But even within that system, even within that system.
So I'm a big, Devin and I met at a meeting of software, free software meeting. And we're both big advocates of free software for education. Anything that it's criminal to not use free software for education. Yes, it's also fiscally responsible. It's criminal.
And to give that a little context, I discovered free software just doing research. Actually, my computer was forcing me to upgrade at a really inconvenient time, which made me want to do research. And then I discovered all these things that happened, 30 years ago, but I wasn't aware of like the project. And I read about it, and I was researching the implications. Well, I just finished a paper on talent, and so it was easy for me to kind of map what I was researching on the myths and misconceptions of talent to what was happening with proprietary versus free software football. There's some great implications for education here, and they're very similar to what was happening in the music world.
So part of what free software does is it gives you a license. It gives you a license to change things, to share things, to take ownership and responsibility. But free software doesn't necessarily give you the chance. And it can be pretty intimidating. And I get pretty intimidated with a lot of this stuff, and I've been doing it for a long time. But so one of the goals in the Sugar Project was to give people a means. I'll just give them the license, but also the means so they can actually participate. And one metric of participation in software development is the patch. The way that software works, software always changes. And the reason why it changes is not because we want to give you guys a hard time as educators. It changes because the world is changing. We can't stand still. And actually one of the lessons is that the world is changing and you can't stand still. So you've got to change has got to be part of what you do and what your students do, because that's just the way the world works. That's the way life works. But given that, the software has to change and it has to update. Where do those updates come from? Well, initially they came from me, okay? But over time, and it took years, but over time, and I worked hard at this, I was starting to get contributions from the community, and that community was not just software developers, it was teachers and students. And already 2 years ago, we finally hit a threshold for the Sugar Lab software, where over 50% of the patches came from kids. And so, and it's just a kid. So I've got these kids all around the world that are just contributing to the project. And so just one more story real quick. So we put the Amazonas workshop. Okay, so we did a workshop in this region called Amazonas. It's way in the north. It's the most remote place I've ever been. It takes 24 hours to get there from Lima. They have their own music, it's great. But between end of the workshop and going out to the festival, I did these little seminars. And I did what I said, all right, tonight we're going to do the program. And I didn't think anybody was going to actually show up for that, but every single teacher came. And we during the day, we were playing around with this mind map program, and one of the teachers found a bug. So I said, okay, well, this is an opportunity. Bugs are always an opportunity. Cynthia promised that. Cynthia's, she's so good at finding bugs.
Not fixing them, but finding them.
That's the first step. You have to fix it if you don't break it, right? So we went to, this is in Amazon, it's in the middle of nowhere. We walked through how do we diagnose this thing, we went through how do we fix it, what do you do with a fix, when you generate a patch, you upload it to, you upload a pull request to the server, and we went through all that stuff. And the appetite was so enormous for this from these teachers. So the advertising in the Amazonas region is enormous for this. It should be enormous everywhere, but it isn't. And that's sort of one of the challenges. You're asking what Gary's challenges, and that's what my challenge is. We all expect that learning is a service we get from Apple, and that's not learning. Actually, it's got to be a much more engaged, hands-on approach. So, I've got lots and lots of stories of teachers. I like to put that there's a dirty little secret, not dirty little secret. There's a secret. Teachers go on to. We forget that. The teachers go on to. Teachers have an appetite for learning. Yet we give them the means to be participants and to be learners. Then good things happen. So that's sort of the context. Brian Silverman did a version of Logo called Turtle Art as a sort of a warm-up exercise to Scratch years ago. And he made a version back in 2006 for old PC for sure, for our software stack. And then Brian, being Brian, he didn't want to maintain it, he didn't want anybody to touch it. So I took over maintaining Turtle Art. And I have like the completely 180-degree opposite opinion about software development from Brian in this perspective. That what I did with Turtle Art was open it up so that people could start to contribute to it. And Turtle Art has morphed into all these different directions. It started off as Python. There's a JavaScript version that runs on the web now. There's 50 different versions for 50 different types of robots. There's a version that's all about nutrition and program with food. Yeah, currency. There's all different flavors of Turtle Art out there. But then when I met with Devin, we got talking about music. And I was frustrated with my absolute inability in regard to music, and I got zero here as well. But we got talking about what would it be like to have. Actually, I was talking with Barry Burko, who's the inventor of C-Sound, about what would be a tool that's actually approachable for kids in music. It's not a music cue box. There's lots of music cue boxes, but those aren't about music. Those aren't about structure. Those aren't about what we kind of learn and what we want to foster with this stuff. We just, we started brainstorming. Devin introduced me to a concept that he'd been exploring. Maybe you can talk about the matrix a little bit. We can talk about.
Yeah. So what you see up there is what I call the matrix. I actually worked for the Center for Music and Education. It's like research group to research basically music in education in schools and how it improves education, et cetera, et cetera. And so one thing that was that I learned from the experience was this kind of this tool. So imagine Battlefield, for example. So, just to play the game Battlefield, you have to have an understanding of a grid. And music notation is also a grid. At its, kind of fundamental, if you strip all the modifiers out of it, it's a grid. And then you throw these notes in, and then depending on, if it's filled in or if it's not filled in, that changes, time parameter, and then there's all these complex things. But, at the basis, you've got pitch over time. And so a lot of times when you're teaching how to be literate in reading music, we forget that you need to first just understand what a grid is. And also we forget that through learning music notation, reading, literacy, you can also learn how to read a grid. So sometimes it can be the entry point, to actually learning how to read something that we consider to be like a math thing, right? So I became really fascinated with this. We also used a tool similar to this, not exactly what you're looking at, but to assess across a really broad spectrum of ages, because since it removes a lot of the jargon that's inherent in a traditional Western notation staff system, you can test. I was even testing children as young as 4 years old, up to 13, with the exact same test, because you can basically talk about the same things, up and down and left and right. Depending on their age, they have a different level of understanding of those things. So, I wanted this in there, and that's kind of like where I started. And then Walter, knowing what he knows, introduced some other ideas that once he explained them to me and once we drew them out, I was like, that makes perfect sense. Let's do that. That was, the building block. Just a really fundamental,
Yeah. Here, I'll do one here.
I got this.
Okay.
My name is Devin.
So,
Here's a
I'm ready. So,
Okay, go.
okay, I'll take it out of its chunk.
All right.
So that's. You can take them apart.
So the basic primitive is just a pitch which specifies frequency and a note which specifies time duration. So that's the basic building block. And you can drop multiple pitches inside of them, get chords, and mix and match, and all sorts of stuff. But that's the basic building block. Now, the grid originally was built as just it was an afford. It's a little widget for generating notes. And when we first did it, it generated a chunk of notes, a stack of notes, but it buried them inside of a little box. And there was no way to examine what was inside the box. You could play it, treat it as an object, as though it was great, but there was no way to inspect it or change it. And so I think
So it looked like this. Actually, so we had a student working on it.
Just show us.
All right, sure.
You just click on it.
I don't want this to be. Now, can you show us how to use the grid?
Yeah. So this is, so you can just play around with it. And that shows a grid that you cannot really go wrong on. Okay? So I'm helping you out.
Yeah, the grid.
Generates a big stack of code.
And you can click on it, yes, don't change the name, just click on it. So we can see that. So now we're ready for action.
So we have just define new actions, which are just phrases, and then you start to
And since we were so insistent that you could, see everything inside one of these, now I can change this. It's really flexible. So say I was like, well, that was okay, but, really I wanted to start with a half note instead of a quarter, and maybe I really wanted dough instead of tea. You know, you're able to change that. Or
So the basic idea is you can use this as sort of a widget to generate phrases, musical phrases, or you can just make them by hand. Once you've made them, you can start to modify them, and then you start to program them.
Can you show them how to collapse that?
Wait, so just if you click on that, it hides it. And then you can unhide it again.
So now you've got this little thing.
Just so, just to save on the screen real estate.
A lot.
and if you want to like,
I think you want to show, we're ready to go.
All right.
You should show
All
us.
right, just a couple more little things. You have a question?
I have a question
Yep.
because I also have no background in music,
Yeah.
and I was trying to help the kids the other day, and then I need to understand how to create a grid, because
Okay.
I think that's the step number
All right.
one.
Okay.
It was broken.
So, to make a grid, there's a little paddle over here. It's a little like a grid. Okay, so if you click on that paddle, it gives you one of these things. You drag it out, and it populates it with a few things just to get you started. But you can just get rid of all that if you want. Then, if you scroll back up the menu, up here. Yeah, that one. Scroll back up so you get the pitch wall. The pitch one. You grab pitches. You just drop them in as many as you want.
You talk about the grid having the time and the pitch,
Yeah.
so this is what you need to create in order to have a grid.
Yeah. So this is going to be the pitches in your grid, and then these are going to be how you generate the time lines.
The grid for one of
But then you
those.
Yeah. For the new one? Sure.
put it in, not put it in.
Yeah. Here it comes.
and then you click on it, and it'll be.
So right now it has these 5 notes.
I don't,
Okay, these 5 pitches show up here, and these 3. This is the number of notes 3, note value quarter notes, so 3/4 notes.
And there's no, I mean, obviously there's no bar lines, which is fine. There's no reason that you need to start with bar lines musically. Actually,
what is bar?
okay, then you don't need to know.
Okay, don't. But here,
I'm
this
asking
one.
because I think there's
It's like, it's like the
In
step.
this one, we did a repeat twice, 6 quarter notes and 1 half note. And that was that original grid we saw. So there were 14 notes in it.
So, here's the
So,
question.
yeah.
You're generating a grid like that, but he clicked on it to create it. So
Yeah.
are you generating just the parameters of that grid?
Yeah.
You're trying to
And
steer
then
these grids.
You're
create
scripting.
reality.
Yeah.
You're saying that this are my notes, this was the time, now I can create a melody.
Okay.
So you might have different phrases you might make in different grids or the same grid. You can reuse the grids for different things.
You can also create music without the
Yeah,
grid.
but not, you can just make things.
Not just read it.
But the grid is just a quick way of getting started.
And if I want to start with a line,
The grid is line for me.
well, it comes loaded with notes vis-a-vis.
Yeah.
That method that you use. Right, could I start with the grid and use that as my?
Yeah, you can just start with the base grid that it gives you, or you can change it. So start
How do I get a base grid? That's what
grab from here, you just grab one.
No, I think there's another thing,
Yeah.
which is cannot throw away the blocks that appear first.
Yeah, just grab it, drag it into the trash, and they're done. And then you just have to
And then you just click on the grid notation out there, you get a grid.
Yeah.
Is that clear?
I'm not sure what you did.
I think it was the
That's
next.
what I It fixed it.
There we go. Yeah, so you just drag it into the
Yeah,
trash.
but it's something about the
No,
Like this. I can go like this and grab this stuff out.
Yeah, there.
Oh, that's
So then what happens when you click
And
on
then
that?
Now, when I click on this, it just tells me there's nothing.
Right, so you have to blocks in there.
So I can't get a grid.
Well, you can't get a grid if it's empty, because it doesn't know what to do.
Because it needs
You
those.
can't just,
Can you edit the values in the grid once it's
Yep.
there? So when you edited that first piece of music that you showed us, could you, instead of changing the value
Yeah,
within the program?
we're going down to a rabbit
Sorry.
here. No, I think it'd be better if we just go and try it.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I have USB keys. There's one, there's as many as you want, we've got lots of them. On the USB key, there's a folder called Music Box. In the Music Box folder, there's a file called index.html. So you open that file in your web browser. Chrome, please, if you've got it. It's not been tested very well in other browsers. If you don't have Chrome, well, it might not work quite right. And just get started. And we're all here to help. And I also have headsets. Anybody wants a headset? I've got a headset. Got USB keys.
Safari works.
if you want to use a table, you'll.
Yeah, so you don't have to sit here. Just
I
first.
just wanted this for,
The computers that are here are working. They're going to be in high.
Yeah, so, yeah, the software runs.
and this one.
Oh, yeah.
For these guys. Are there other computers here? Are there? Oh, she needs what? She's just going to, there are 3 of them there. What, I think these are from.
Oh,
I see that.
season on
Yeah,
the same
it's a little
way.
larger. Yeah. I saw.
I
Yeah.
didn't see that when it was in
Yeah,
there.
up there.
Yeah.
So then you start painting. And if you wanted to, so you can change things by changing this and then regenerating that. I mean, these are, you can make as many as you want. And if try 2 in one block and one column to just see what it does.
2 in 1 column.
Yeah, it gives you a chord.
Oh.
So you can do.
I can just play it. Yeah, did you hear that?
You've generated this, and now you can add to it that way, or you can add to it by pulling out the blocks. And they're stored.
Yeah. แล้วลองเล่นพร้อมกันไม่มันต้องถ้าอย่างนี้เสียงมันจะเตียนไม่ตีมันก็จะเล่นรวมเสียงบ้าง
Go ahead. Urrea, play it. Do you know how to play it? See this circle arrow thing? Use headphones, but then they can't share. So let me see if there's a speaker.
ห้องนึงมันจะมีประมาณ4 คน
So it sort of gives you the graphics within a time framework, which is sort of. I hit things with you can hit sometimes with that. So I just sort of make a mess of things.
Yeah, we'll try it.
And the grid is the grid gone?
The grid, yeah, you have
Because you
to,
erased
yeah,
it?
because I erased it.
Okay.
Yeah, you can just click on that and the grid should come up. Is that the right one? Yeah.
But that'll just bring us the grid, not
Yeah,
the
you-
one that has our
yeah.
notation in there. Is there any way to get back to the grid with your
Well,
notation?
that's on my to-do list.
That's what I
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't do
I mean,
some
not
of
that
this.
you don't.
No, so-
I wanted to know if there's any way to go backwards.
So, for example,
So like to backwards engineer that.
I'll show you
We already
part,
have our
I'll show you
program.
part of it.
The grid, but this does have rhythm. You know, this has the note value.
Already.
The note value is the rhythm value. So a 4 is a quarter note.
Yeah, okay.
If you do a 2, it's going to be twice as long. And if you do a 1, it's going to be 4 times as long. Yeah. But you can put. Oh, because you already. Yeah.
All the ones that
Now you could manually change what's here and add things. Change,
puts a defined repetition.
yeah. And each, okay? And you can scroll that up. And then this is another set. This has note in it. This one. So just click there. Click.
One that goes just go
Just like my first one, except 7. It has that one extra.
So when I did this again,
Yeah.
when I did this,
And now you're not getting sound.
I'm not getting sound.
This scrolls, and I can scroll here.
Oh, because it's the note, however long the note is. But you don't need that, you don't want that in the graphic on the table.
เป็น17เหรอแล้วมันจะออกมาให้17ตัว
Unless you throw that in the trash.
ใครขึ้นหน้านี่เยอะ
See this little button?
Well, it's very easy to measure.
Except for I can't do anything from this. It's just thinking, it's trying too hard to come.
So it's like a. We'll do some reflection work. So what we have up here is our interlude music for today, which is some student work, which I found really a lot of fun.
So first of all, nobody is allowed to return the USB. You have to keep it. I don't want them back. I'm not taking anything back to Boston. So if you want more, you're going to have to hang up box. We don't have that much more time left. And first of all, thank you for your patience, because as I think you're all able to discover, this is pretty raw stuff. It's very much a work in progress. Patches are accepted, so please, if you feel free to jump in and fix those. Find broken or Devin wanted to show a couple of things that the students did both on Monday and a few weeks back, just to give you a little bit of a sense of some of the kinds of things we're doing. And I also just wanted to talk about what happened, get some feedback. I already have a long list of features in the room, like the copy feature, and the font scaling, the block scaling feature, because it's just not working well enough right now. It causes much pain.
We messed up.
Yeah. So until those things are working better, they're just going to disappear. And there definitely are some problems with the synthesizer with some laptops. I don't understand why some machines synthesizer sounds funny.
And then sometimes
software itself, the version of the software on the USB stick is a slightly modified version that has a bunch of web stuff removed so that it will move locally quickly. Because we had a problem with the workshop when you restarted it, time out on the web. So I modified it. There's a version on GitHub. If you go to github.com/WalterBenton, you'll find music logs. And so that this is there. It's software Libra, download it, copy it, change it, fix it, translate it, remove features, add features, do stuff with it. And hopefully good things will happen. But Devin, do you want to show some things? Or does anybody actually want to show their composition? Yeah. Anybody? It doesn't have to be finished.
So I'm just going to charge it. It's going to run out. So I kind of wanted to do something like where you choose, make the internal change depending on storing it as a variable, like something since I don't know this, I just use the only number I can see that like a value, so I use the octave, and then because all of it was the same, I started not really paying attention to the music part. Because I was changing these guys and stuff that would happen. So, okay, so it's not coming through the speakers. I can just play it loud here. So let's start it again. And isn't that beautiful? Well, it's changing depending upon the tone, and so you have to change a lot, so you have incredible, crazy tones, or octaves, or whatever.
Middle school kid.
Middle school student. The task was to generate Newton's color scheme in music blocks. And so, while the original repeat is 8, so I'll bring it back to 8. And here we go. I think this is down, please. Take it down. How do I turn this back up? I'll do it one last time. So each time it changes a pitch, it does the color that Newton associated with that particular color, or with that particular pitch. Elements to it, and now it has the same two elements, but with a repeat, a note in the middle,
Do you want to like show them how you introduce that workshop?
Yeah. You guys want to see this?
Yeah, I think it would be nice.
Okay, what do you got? You guys ready to get active? Maybe stand up. Gonna have a table. La la la. La la Okay, and now you come up here.
No!
Yeah.
Come on! I don't look at that.
Well, this is the same. I mean, it's the blue or the blue and the red or the red.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, they're the same thing.
I don't understand the difference between that.
I'm with you.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I will modify them. I didn't need all this extra stuff.
Oh, we don't have to turn them off. Here. But just give them the blue. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. No, this is
Sorry, I understand now.
getting in the way.
He meant blue and red.
Yes, just blue and red. That's
Blue and
it.
red. So blue was the la la la.
Yeah.
And the pen.
Yeah, it's simple.
Well, that was confusing.
Sorry.
Okay. All right. La 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 la. And then
There.
Okay.
Okay.
Now we understand.
Now you got to conduct your composition.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, now I. Okay. Ready?
La 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 I modified it. I'm sorry, yeah. You were scripting. And then it's just, which one is the blue cup, which one is the red cup, and can we figure out the puzzle here? So we've got one penny block, one hot cross, or two hot cross buns blocks, and a repeat block. How can we get that with these?
Making some multiple voices and counterpoint and doing all that with the kids just singing with the cups and then we started, then the kids all got into the transformations and all that. And this is sort of how we started them off.
Yeah.
And then some of the kids spent a lot of time in Matrix. Actually, she showed them this start, and that gives you that sample. There's also one for Joppa start, if you want to play for Joppa. And there are a bunch of other sort of weird things in here.
There's time for you to do a little bit now, if you like.
Or, again, for those of you who are native Thai speakers, if you set your browser to Thai,
And then make it all. That's the scale, and then the melody.
So actually, let's call this, we're gonna call this.
And that's not a primitive, so it's
Maybe, but for me it sounds, well, it represents a certain style, but I can't hear the differences because I'm not used to it.
I don't know.
มันแล้วแต่ลำโพงหรือเปล่า
Try it. It's too high. You can also change.